Hello, and welcome to this overview of The Mating Habits of the Scoundrels historical romance book series by Vivienne Lorret. I'm Olivia, your favorite resource for book recommendations you can easily screenshot. You're watching Random Olive Reads. We start with Lord Holt Takes a Bride, and we get the initial setup of what the series is about. Now, a female friend group finds one of their own ruined and banished to the country, so they want to do some research on how to avoid rakes and scoundrels, and they figure they're going to write a book about it. They somehow kidnap Lord Holt so that they can question him about his habits. And while he's kidnapped and blindfolded, they start complaining about one of them not wanting to marry this guy that her parents picked out. Now, at some point, Winifred has run away from that wedding that she doesn't want and into a waiting carriage. That carriage contains a certain Lord Holt, otherwise known as Asher, and off they go to run away from London and her unwanted wedding. Now, there's some drama here involving potentially some ransom and whether Asher was an unwilling participant in the road trip, but obviously the circumstances have pushed them together. The second book in the series is My Kind of Earl. So, our next friend of the group, Jane, is at a brothel doing some research, but somehow ends up inciting a fight there. She's rescued by one of the scoundrels and is instantly attracted. However, she notices that he has a unique birthmark and wants to help investigate his family origins. At this point, they need to work together to figure out the mystery, and of course, they spend time together along the way. Despite the initial social class differences, it's clear that our guy is descended from some noble family and perfectly suitable for our young lady. Our third friend of the group is featured in The Wrong Marquess, and Ellie has been waiting for her childhood love to propose to her, and she's sort of innocently going about her business at London balls, chaperoned by her quirky spinster aunts. She's definitely not trying to catch the attentions of an eligible Marquess and manages to befriend his sister along the way. Except that Brandon has definitely fallen for Ellie and is trying to convince her to ditch her not fiance for him. And then we find out that Ellie's not fiance is most definitely a scoundrel and totally unworthy of her. This one is kind of a mishmash of different things going on, not quite one solid trope, but Ellie's aunts are meddlesome and ridiculous and hilarious to read about. Our fourth friend features in How to Steal a Scoundrel's Heart, and Prue is our ruined friend who caused her friend group to want to research scoundrels in the first place to prevent the other girls from being ruined. Well, Prue found herself seduced by a gentleman, caught, and exiled by her father. Now, at this point, she just wants to reclaim the jewelry that her mother passed down to her, so she decides larceny is the way to go. On the way back to London, she runs into Leo, a rakish Marquess who is drawn by the naive innocence of Prue. He offers to assist her with her heist as well as offer protection if she becomes his mistress. Now, in this story, I liked learning about Leo's backstory and how he became the dissolute rake that he is, and how warm and smushy and protective he becomes of Prue. Never Seduce a Duke is book 5 of the series, not quite one of the original friend group, but adopted in since she's the new sister in law of the group. Meg is the younger sister of the Marquess from book 3, and she's traveling on holiday with the spinsterly aunts of her new sister in law. So these are Ellie's aunts. After having her heart broken, Meg is intent on having a grand holiday and possibly flirtation before returning to her brother's home to stay a spinster, take care of her nieces and nephews, etc. However, the meddlesome aunts are at their recipe stealing antics and somehow get entangled with a surly hermit of a duke, Lucian. His family relic, a recipe book covered in jewels and myths or whatever, has disappeared at the same time that Meg is caught trespassing in his home. So he thinks that she's the thief and chases her across her European vacation to find the book. Lucian seems to be under the impression that Meg is this seductive and mysterious Lady Avalon, known to be a thief, while Meg, who has been a fresh faced young lady overlooked by most gentlemen, is flattered by his attentions. They banter, they flirt, they fight. It goes on for like half the book, and it's a little bit tedious sometimes. There's a lot of misunderstanding between each other, and he's basically a stubborn, stoic, scientific ass. When they finally come together and maybe the truth will finally come out, there's another set of miscommunication that keeps them separated. Lucian never finds out Meg's real name or identity. And as the back of the book alludes to, Meg actually ends up pregnant from the encounter. Though the first half of the book moved pretty slowly and tediously, the pace of the plot picks up in the back half of the book with a gasp worthy time jump. And we do ultimately find out the identity of Lady Avalon. Now, at this point, I don't actually know if this series is complete. Book 5 is set for publication in February of 2023. So, if this series does go on, I will update and make a new video when there are more books to be added. But overall, it was a pretty fun series to read, lighthearted, generally low angst, except this last book that had a lot of miscommunication, but always fun to read Vivienne Lorret's work. Thank you so much for watching this video. Links to all of the books I've discussed are in the description box. Like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos, and you can follow me on Instagram at randomolive.